Hey, heroes. What if Deku was in Class 1B and had a harem? Let's explore this wild alternate universe. In a world where 80% of the population awakens powers at the age of 4 and being a hero went from being fiction to being a profession. We can see a 4-year-old green-haired boy in his room doing his homework. Izuku, okay, I'm done. I'll go play with Kaken. But when he got up his head collided with a book that was levitating. Izuku's POV. I was getting up to leave when my head hit a book. Izuku, Mom? I turn to look around but I don't see my mom anywhere, then I can see the book descend until it's in front of me. I had never seen him in the house. Izuku, I better go ask my mom this. Could it be my quirk? End of POV. Izuku lowered his sclera in a hurry, screaming. Izuku. Mom. Inko was cooking when she heard her son's screams. In her rush, she didn't realize that she had made a small cut on her finger. Inko, what happened? Izuku. When Inko saw her son, she was surprised to see her son holding on to a blue book that she had never seen before. Inko, Izuku, where did you get that book? Izuku, Mom, this book just floated out of nowhere when I was doing my homework. Could it be my quirk? The boy said with stars in his eyes as he was waiting for his quirk to awaken since all his friends had one, even Bakugo already had a quirk. Inko, I don't know son, tomorrow we will go to the doctor, we will see. Izuku, Mom, you're bleeding. Izuku saw a cut on his mother's finger from which a small amount of blood was flowing. Inko, don't worry, I'm going to put a bandage on it. Izuku, I'll bring it. But at that moment the book began to levitate and shine, opening and turning pages. Izuku, what's wrong? The book stopped on a page where there was some writing standing in front of Izuku. Izuku, healing spell? Izuku began to mentally read what the sheet said. The moment Izuku finished reading, a light came out of the sheets and headed towards Inko, healing her wound as well as her fatigue, something that only she noticed. Inko, Izuku, can you lend me that book? Inko wanted to review the book. Izuku, okay. Inko took the book but couldn't understand anything that was written. Inko, Izuku, how can you read it? Izuku, I don't know but I understand what the book says. Before continuing with the conversation, the book was closed and no matter how hard Inko tried, she couldn't open it, and then the book began to levitate and disappear into a light that entered Izuku. Izuku, Mom, what was that? Inko, I think it's your quirk, tomorrow we will go to the doctor. Izuku, okay, D. Time skip. We can see 2 green-haired boys waiting for the results of Izuku's quirk. Izuku, Mom, do you think my quirk will be very powerful and do other things besides healing? Inko, we'll know in a few moments. Then a door opens revealing the doctor with some papers. Doctor, Mrs. Midoriya? Inko, yes doctor, you already know what my son's quirk consists of. Doctor, well, your son's quirk is a bit strange since as far as we know he has a series of abilities, although we don't know what they all are since according to your son there are words that he doesn't understand. Izuku, doctor, can I be a hero? Doctor, well, with the skills you showed, more than a hero, I would say a helper, since your gift allows, as far as we know, to increase the strength, speed, and resistance of other people at the same time. It also allows you to heal. I would say that you would be more of a support. Izuku, but I want to be a hero. Doctor, I know kid but your skills are to be supports or helpers but not heroes because. Izuku had already stopped listening, he was simply thinking about what the doctor said, you would only serve as support. Inko, thank you doctor, we are leaving. Taking his son by the hand, he left the office. Izuku, Mom, I can be a hero. Inko, yes son and not just a support, you can be a real hero, just trust in yourself. Izuku, yes Mom, I will be the best hero of all time. It's been 12 years since Izuku went to the doctor's office and he dedicated himself to training. The first 5 years, he dedicated them to training his gift. He discovered that the more beings he gave improvements to, the more tired he got. So he began to practice with ants since he tried to give improvements to several ants at the same time. Also due to a mishap he discovered that he had a second book. Well, he began to call them grimoires. The second book seemed more offensive since he threw curses. These could be very dangerous. He decided to train them with those who were going to bully him. Bakugo, upon finding out what his gift was, began to mock him that he was only going to be an assistant or support and that he would always be in someone's shadow. Since then Izuku walked away from Bakugo. The curses he threw consisted of blindness, dizziness, immobilization, quirk weakening, physical fatigue, mental fatigue, Not to mention that the book itself was the same as another one, only this one was a dark color. 5 more years, he started training his body since he didn't want to depend too much on his grimoires, performing an infernal routine at the same time that he summoned his grimoires to increase the time he has them out since the mere fact of being out. 5 more years, he began to train his body since he did not want to depend too much on his grimoires, performing an infernal routine at the same time that he summoned his grimoires to increase the time he has them outside since the mere fact of being outside of Izuku wore him out. He performed infernal routines, although every time he got hurt he could heal himself, discovering that he can improve his spells if he uses them continuously with his normal grimoire. He discovered 5 more spells that were Repair of Objects, Quirk Enhancement, Mental Reinforcement, Adaptation of the Environment, Berserker. The latter is used as a last resort since although it increases all the capabilities of a person, it leaves Izuku and the one who received it in an incredibly tired state and with muscle pain. His appearance at this moment was like this. The latter is used as a last resort since although it increases all the capabilities of a person, it leaves Izuku and the one who received it in an incredibly tired state and with muscle pain. His appearance at this moment was like this. 17. Present. We found ourselves in a classroom where a teacher came in with a sheet of paper. Teacher, well, on this sheet you will write what you would like to be when you grow up, but throwing the sheets in the air to hell, everyone wants to be a hero, right? At that everyone activated their quirks celebrating. Professor, but you know it's wrong to use your quirks in public. Upon saying those words everyone calmed down and then the bomb with legs spoke. Bakugo, don't compare me to this pile of useless extras. I'll be the #1 hero and I'll be one of the richest people in the world. At that point everyone starts booing him and the teacher speaks. Teacher, Bakugo, you are going to apply for the UA. Those words made the whole room fall silent and murmurs began to be heard saying UA is the best heroic institution or the acceptance rate is very low among other things that only inflated Bakugo's pride. Professor, true, Midorilla is also going to go to the UA. Those words caused more murmurs to be heard but made Bakugo angrier. Bakugo, deku. How dare a useless support be in the UA? You are only a support and a step for me to reach the top. Bakugo was heading to Izuku's folder, making explosions with his hands, but then Izuku quickly took out his grimoire of curses, making him dizzy and blind, causing Bakugo to fall to the floor. Izuku, Bakugo, wherever I go, you don't care and stop trying to intimidate me. We're no longer 6 years old for you to scare me. That's when the bell rings. Izuku, okay, I'm leaving now. The effects will wear off in 5 minutes. Have fun. He said, leaving the room, leaving a Bakugo on the floor shouting insults. Izuku, well, I'll go for a walk for a while before returning home. He said to start walking aimlessly when suddenly he heard as if some glass was breaking on impact, alerting him and running in that direction in case someone needed help. Arriving, he finds 2 top heroines known as Mirko and Ryuko somewhat hurt facing a villain. Mirko, damn, I'll leave you boneless, you bastard. Throwing herself against the villain just like Ryuko in her human form, since she couldn't convert because it would destroy the buildings, which is why she was very hurt. Villain, you already know that my gift allows me to let every attack slip off my body, you will not be able to defeat me. At that moment with his knife he made a cut on Mirko's leg and Ryuko's arm. Villain, licking lips, I wonder what it would be like to have sex with 2 heroines. Approaching them, who were already tired, but without warning, the villain fell to the ground and when he tried to get up, he fell. Villain, what the fuck is going on? Izuku, I just gave you 2 curses that will prevent you from getting up. Mirko, who are you? He said, getting up with difficulty and getting into a combat stance. Izuku, calm down, I was just walking when I heard a noise and when I came to check I found you and Ryuko injured and I decided to intervene. Mirko, first tell me who you are. Izuku, I am Izuku Hyashi Midorilla and I live 3 blocks in that direction. He said, pointing to a lot of apartments. Mirko, okay, you can call a patrol to take this villain away. I'll take Ryuko to a hospital. Izuku, let me help you with your wounds. Mirko, and what are you going to be? He said, still in a fighting stance as he still distrusted Izuku. Izuku, this. He said, so that a second grimoire came out later. He said, so that a second grimoire came out later. And it opened when it stopped on a leaf. Ryuko, what is that book? Izuku, first it's a grimoire and second it will help you heal. When I finish saying that I activate the healing spell on the 2 heroines starting to heal them. Ryuko/Mirko, amazing. They said they realized that their wounds and the fatigue of the persecution were fading away. Izuku, ready. He said to leave them as good as new, but then he blushed because he had just realized that the heroines' costumes were torn in some compromising parts. Upon realizing this, they covered themselves and glared at the green-haired man who could only look away. Izuku, say. Sorry, I didn't mean to, let me help you. Mirko/Ryuko, how do you bring a jacket or something to cover us? Izuku, no, but I can do this. The book then opened and activated the object repair function, beginning to fix Ryuko and Mirko's heroine costumes. The two were surprised by what the boy could do, and when he finished they asked him. Mirko, what are those books? Izuku, they are grimoires and I also have two. He said, taking out his two grimoires. Izuku, one allows me to increase the strength, endurance, and other characteristics of other people, and the other allows me to cast curses like the ones I threw at that villain. He said, pointing at the villain who was trying to stand up and falling in the attempt. Ryuko, what curses did you throw at him? Izuku, I gave him blindness and dizziness. Ryuko, and how soon will it pass? Izuku, well, I threw it at him for at least an hour. Mirko, it's a great quirk, boy, you will be a great hero. Izuku, thank you. Mirko, well then let's leave this trash in jail and go drink. He said happily. Izuku, excuse me, but I'm still a minor. Mirko looked at the boy strangely as his appearance seemed like that of someone already an adult. Mirko, how old are you? Izuku, well, I'm 16 years old. Mirko/Ryuko, what? A year passed since the incident with the villain, in which after the surprise the heroines and Izuku exchanged numbers so that later they had some outings between the three as thanks for saving them and to have fun, in which Izuku asked his now friends what it was like to be a hero, receiving the same answers: diaresis, tired, diaresis, a lot of paperwork, diaresis, the only exciting thing is kicking villains, diaresis, and comments like that, so he left that topic aside. Each one enjoyed the company of the other, and even sometimes Rumi, Mirko, helped Izuku train. Of course he had to put his resistance and strength enhancement on him so that he would not end up with enough broken bones because of Rumi's kicks, and so time passed until the entrance exam, in which the trio of friends were heading to the UA, giving luck to Izuku. Rumi, with our training you will be able to pass that rat's test without any problems. Ryuko, don't worry about the theory, you're very smart. Izuku, thanks girls. He said, giving her a smile, to which the two women looked away to hide their blush, since in the period of a year they had acquired certain feelings for the green-haired man, and when they discovered it, they had a heated discussion between them, but in the end they agreed to share Izuku, something that he did not know. He said, giving her a trademark smile, to which the two women looked away to hide their blush, since in the period of a year they had acquired certain feelings for the green-haired man, and when they discovered it, they had a heated. That's how he was dressed. Izuku, okay girls, I'm leaving. The UA was still 5 blocks away from their location, but it would be strange to see a candidate arrive with 2 professional heroines. They knew it, so they just nodded and said goodbye to begin their work as heroes. It should be noted that they were in civilian clothes and with face masks, and Rumi with a hat. Izuku left, arriving at the UA being impressed by the structure of the institute. He continued walking until he saw a blue-eyed blonde with glasses who was about to fall, so he held her stomach to avoid it. The girl, when she saw Izuku, could not help but blush. Izuku, I'm sorry for touching you out of nowhere, but it would be bad luck if you fell at the beginning of the day. My name is Izuku, it's a pleasure. Nice to meet you, my name is Melissa Shield. Izuku, nice to meet you Melissa, let's go in so we don't arrive late. Melissa, yes, let's go. Izuku took the written exam, which he had no problem with since he had help from Ryuko in the academic area. After finishing they were taken to a room in which the hero Present Mike came out. Present Mike, everyone say ya. Izuku, yeah. Present Mike, that's now my favorite candidate, and he has one more point. After that Present Mike started explaining the robots and the points until a blue-haired guy interrupted him. Lida, instructor, in the UA brochure there is another robot. If this is a printing error, that would be very embarrassing for the prestigious academy like the UA, and they would not be different from the lower class schools. This made quite a few people uncomfortable and annoyed. Lida, and you pointing at Izuku think this is a joke? You're surely a lower-class person who doesn't know how important this profession is and is only here to disrespect this prestigious academy. Izuku, you're done. Well, you say that I disrespect the academy, but I'm not the one who interrupted a teacher in the middle of an explanation, nor am I the one who denigrates others because of their social class. You better sit down, shut up and listen, because I see that they didn't teach you that in your high-class school. Lida just snorted and sat down angrily. Present Mike, thanks for shutting that guy up. Well, what I was saying is that only the 0-point robot is left, so there is no need to destroy it. If you see it, just run away or see what they do. Well, each one go to their respective blocks. Izuku was like this in his block. After a while, Present Mike's voice is heard. Present Mike, get ready. With that said, the doors began to open as Izuku took out his grimoire of improvements and increased his own speed, shooting out towards the robberies before anyone could complain. Present Mike, they're waiting for an invitation in a fight, there's no countdown and that kid knows it. With that said, everyone started running but saw that some robots were already destroyed. And with Izuku, his strength had improved and he began to destroy robots everywhere, only finding them crushed, and if he found people in trouble he helped them. Izuku, I think it's enough to pass, but let's get some more points just in case. With that he went back to destroying more robots. While in a room. Nezu, we have a good harvest this year, what do you think? Cementos, I'm interested in the boy who throws explosions. He said so that everyone could see a monitor where Bakugo appeared exploding everything without caring if there were more people or hurting others. Nezu, yes, although we would have to do something about his attitude. What do you say about Heroine Ryukyu and Mirko? It must be said that no one was surprised that Ryukyu was there since she had been there a few times, but what was surprising was that Mirko was in this place since she was not interested in anything that had to do with teaching. Ryukyu, there are good gifts for both rescue and attack. That's what he said, but he hadn't looked much at the applicant since his concentration was taken by a green-haired man who was destroying robots just like Mirko, who, seeing a green-haired man savagely destroying robots, smiled. Everyone turned to see what caught their attention and saw a green-haired man destroying robots with a kind of book floating around him. Aizawa, what is that book? Nezu, it says here that it is part of his quirk which is called grimoires. He said, reading a sheet of paper. Cements, and what is their gift? Nezu, it says here that he can give improvements to himself and others, whether it be resistance, strength or others. These words surprised everyone except two heroines who already knew what it was. Aizawa, seeing his fighting style, I would say that he copied your movements, Mirko. Mirko, shut up, crazy eyes, if someone copies my movements it must be someone strong since no weakling could copy my movements. He said and then continued watching Izuku kick a robot to pieces. Nezu, well, let's see what the applicants can do. There was a button that said danger and Nezu pressed it, causing a small tremor. With Izuku, a green-haired boy could be seen lying on top of a building resting since he had obtained enough points to enter the academy, when suddenly everything begins to shake. Izuku, what happened? Standing up, he could see a huge robot and people escaping from it. Izuku, wow, the 0 points are bigger than what they showed us on the screen. She was about to leave when she heard a cry for help, turning her gaze to see an orange-haired girl tangled in some cables that prevented her from moving and the 0 points approaching the girl. Izuku, I have to help her. He said to himself, then ran to the address, arriving with the girl. Izuku, calm down, don't move so I can help you untangle yourself. He said and then began to untangle the cables while the 0 points approached. When he finished untangling he saw that the girl's ankle was purple, so he picked her up and began to run with her in his arms while he healed her with the help of his grimoire. It must be said that the girl was blushing as much as she could without being able to articulate a word. In the surveillance room, Mirko and Ryukyu could be seen uncomfortable by how Izuku carried the girl, but they calmed down thinking that it was them. Nezu, he assessed the situation, calmed the affected person, proceeded correctly. It seems as if it were not the first time he has done this. Cementos, well, it seems that the evaluation is about to end. He said, looking at the timer. With Izuku. Izuku was running from a giant robot with a girl in his arms. Izuku, damn, what time does this test end? Just as the robot began to stretch its arm to catch it, the horn sounded, stopping the robot and indicating the end of the test. Izuku, thank goodness. Izuku looked back at the girl who was unconscious and still had a blush on her face. Izuku took her to the stretchers, laying her down and leaving that place to go home, tell his mother everything and rest. The day after the tests we see a green-haired boy getting out of bed because of his mother's scream. Inko, Izuku. Izuku, what happened, mom? He said as he jumped out of bed and went to his mom. Inko, this envelope just arrived from UA. Giving his son the envelope, which he opened in his hands to reveal a device in which a hologram of a dog. Bear? Mouse? Appeared. It is reproduced in that. Nezu, I know you're wondering, am I a dog? A bear? A mouse? I am the director, congratulations young man, You successfully passed the written test with 98 points, and in practice you got 168 points from the robots, more than enough to pass. But there was an evaluation that consisted of rescue points, and you, for supporting the other candidates and saving an applicant from 0 points, were awarded 54 additional points, which added to your other tests give a total of 320 points. More than enough. You will enter Classroom 1B of the heroic course Izuku Midoriya. Welcome to your Hero Academy. Izuku could no longer contain his excitement until he was brought back to reality by a hug from his mother. Inko, I knew my baby could do it. You're finally closer to achieving your dream and becoming a great hero. Izuku, thank you mom for supporting me all these years. He said, reciprocating the hug. After everything calmed down and her mom left to make breakfast and promise katsudon for dinner, Izuku went to his room, and through the group chat he had with Rumi and Ryuko he wrote. Chat. Izuku, girls, I passed the exam with 320 points. I entered UA. Rumi, it was obvious that you were going to pass my training, and if you hadn't passed I was going to use you as a punching bag. Ryuko, congratulations Izuku, and what Rumi meant was that she is also happy that you entered. Izuku, I see that. Rumi, today we went out to celebrate. Ryuko, sounds good to me. Izuku, where are we going to go? Rumi, if we come to my house to watch movies and have Izuku cook us something. Izuku was nervous, he had never been to a girl's house, and if we consider that it is the house of a top heroine, it makes him more nervous. Ryuko, it's fine with me, what do you think Izuku? Izuku with all the courage gathered wrote. Izuku, no problem girls. Time skip. Izuku was getting ready to go out dressed like this. After an afternoon of movies where Ryuko and Rumi were glued to Izuku, which made him blush, he returned home having dinner with katsudon and talking with his mother about what the UA will be like. Izuku was in his room getting ready to sleep. Izuku, how will my new companions be? Time skip. A week passed after a movie afternoon with Rumi and Ryuko, and Izuku was ready to go to UA while his mom was asking. Inko, you carry your handkerchief, your pencil, the eraser. Izuku, yes, mom will be back in the afternoon, don't be alarmed. Inko, take care of yourself, don't talk to strangers and don't accept sweets from strangers. Izuku, mom, I know that, I'm not a child. After his mother made sure he had everything, Izuku left his house heading to UA. Izuku, I hope this day is amazing. Already at UA, Izuku was looking for his classroom. Izuku, 1B, here it is. He said to open the door and find an orange-haired girl with horns and a blonde in the living room. Then the blonde approaches him and says, Good morning, I am Nato Momona, the strongest student in the classroom. Izuku, hello, I'm Izuku Midoriya, I hope we get along well. The conversation attracted the attention of the two women who approached when the orange-haired girl recognized him. You are the one who saved me from 0 points. Izuku, and you are? Kendo, I am Itsuka Kendo. Izuku, a pleasure, and you? Pony, hello, my name is Pony Tsunotori. Izuku, hello, nice to meet you, hello, nice to meet you. Itsuka, you can speak fluent English. Izuku, take a course. Nato, and what are your quirks? Itsuka, mine allows me to enlarge my hands. I'm good at hand-to-hand combat. Pony, my quirk allows you to throw horns. Pony spoke with difficulty. Izuku, mine allows me to support other people or myself by giving an increase in both physical and mental abilities. I can also enhance other people's quirks. Izuku didn't want to talk about his curse book. Itsuka, incredible, you have a great gift. Pony, yes. Nato, well, it's time to talk about my great quirk that allows me to copy the quirk of the person I touched. Izuku, incredible, with that quirk you would be very versatile on the battlefield, although you would be at a disadvantage if you found yourself alone. At that, Izuku thought of something. Izuku, Nato, can you copy my quirk? Nato, no problem. With that said, Nato proceeded to touch Izuku. Nato, I don't feel any change. How do you activate your quirk? Izuku, just think about taking a book out of you. With that said, Izuku proceeded to pull out a book that came out of his chest. Everyone was surprised as the book, according to the women, was very cute, and Momona kept trying to take out the book. Nato, I can't, how strange, it's the first time this has happened to me, I can even copy the mutation type. Izuku, maybe. Izuku was about to continue talking when the door opened, revealing a group of students, and they left the topic for another time. When all the students were in the classroom and introducing themselves to each other, the hero Blood King enters. Blood King, good morning, please each one in order come to the front and introduce yourselves to the others. So each one went forward and introduced himself. Finishing the presentations, Blood King gave them some uniforms. After changing, Blood King took them to the UA courtyard where they met Class 1A practicing. Everything was going to be normal but an explosion was heard. Bakugo, deku. How dare a simple support like you enter the UA? He said as he pulled out explosions from his hands as he headed towards Izuku quickly. Aizawa was about to throw his bandages but saw how Izuku threw an upward kick lifting Bakugo up in that he jumped grabbing Bakugo by the nape of the neck and throwing him against the ground. With his hand still on his head, Izuku said, "Izuku, Bakugo, you better behave. We're not in school for you to think you're the best. Lower your pride before I beat you down." Bakugo, "Damn Deku, I'll kill you." Before he finished speaking, Izuku lifted Bakugo's head and slammed it back into the floor. "Izuku, I already told you Bakugo, we're not in elementary school for you to think you're the best." Finishing those words he returned to his class who looked at him surprised. Bakugo quickly stood up enraged ready to attack him from behind, when some bandages grabbed him from behind rolling him up. Bakugo, what the fuck? Aizawa, Bakugo, stay still if you don't want to get expelled on your first day. Bakugo, TSK. Blood King, okay guys, we'll do some exercises with Class 1A so get ready. 1B, hi. After Aizawa's warning and notifying them of the expulsion of the last place, everyone was doing the corresponding exercises in the races. Izuku competed against Lita, narrowly defeating him without using his grimoire since Lita was confident. Bakugo was still angry and tried to attack him one more time but was stopped by Aizawa. It's time to make the throws. Aizawa, well first Izuku, who was the one who came in first place in the entrance exam. When he said those words everyone was surprised. Izuku without paying much attention stepped forward taking out his grimoire. Everyone was surprised to see the grimoire except those who already knew it. Aizawa, so you didn't use your maximum in the other tests? Aizawa said it just to get his students' attention since he knew about his grimoire from the entrance test. Lita, there's no way that second in command could have defeated me without using his gift. Izuku, I definitely couldn't match you in speed without using my quirk. Lita just smiled arrogantly and when she was about to say that Izuku had cheated, but Izuku spoke up. Izuku, but he was confident in what ended up as his defeat. Izuku activated his strength enhancement and stamina enhancement by throwing the ball. Blood King, 805 meters. This number amazed everyone, then they continued with the others and when they finished everyone was returning to their classrooms. Bakugo was angry since he had ended up under Izuku. Izuku, that guy will never change. Nato, did you really study with him? He is very annoying and arrogant. Izuku, putting up with him since he was 4 makes you get used to it, especially when he was bullying me. Awase, I took pity on you. Tetsu, bullying is not for men. After that they had normal classes. As the day ended, Izuku was getting his things ready to leave with Nato, Awase, Kendo, Pony, and Tetsu since they got along well. Tetsu, Izuku bro. Izuku, what happened Tetsu? Tetsu, you said you can also enhance gifts, right? At that everyone paid attention to Izuku. Izuku, well when you activate it the person gets an improved version of their gift. Saying that, everyone became curious. Tetsu, could you prove it? Izuku, okay you can transform your arm into metal. With that said, Tetsu transformed from his hand to his elbow into metal so that Izuku could take out his grimoire and activate the quirk enhancement. The metal arm began to darken, almost becoming black in color, and some kind of spikes came out of its arm. Kendo, incredible. Pony, fantastic. Nato, how do you feel? Tetsu, my arm feels lighter but I don't know how strong it is now, let's try it outside. Already in a park we see the boys in front of a large rock. Izuku, ready Tetsu hit as hard as you can. Tetsu, okay Izuku bro. Tetsu took a run and headed at full speed towards the rock and at the moment of impact. #crack hash. Everyone watched as the stone began to crack and crumble. Tetsu, incredible, with my normal arm I would have only cracked it a little, but with this arm I didn't even feel the blow too much. Everyone was surprised by Tetsu's improvement. They were going to ask if he could improve their quirks to see what they were like, but Izuku speaks. Izuku, before you ask me if I can improve your quirks, Let's leave it for another day, it's a little late now. Everyone understood that it was starting to get dark and it could be dangerous. Tetsu, Izuku bro, how long will the improvement last? Izuku, you should have about 15 to 20 minutes left, after which you will return to normal. Tetsu, okay. After that, everyone said goodbye to go home. The next day, we can see the group of friends commenting on Tetsu's improvement and talking about how theirs could be. Suddenly their teacher enters. Blood King, good morning students, today we will have combat training with Class 1A. When he said that, some students became excited, others became tense at their tutor's words. Blood King, but first they will have to dress for the occasion. That price is not a button, making some suitcases appear with their hero costumes. Blood King, go change in the locker room if I'm not mistaken. Class 1A will also be there. Everyone excitedly went to change to try on their hero costumes, and in the locker room they met up with Class 1A. Lita, what are some second-rate people doing here? He said with displeasure in his words. Izuku, we came to change, better not talk, nobody in this place wants to hear you complain. Lita was angry because according to him a lower-class person disrespected him, but an explosion is heard. Bakugo, deku. Izuku, Bakugo, shut up if you don't want to end up with your face on the wall, we just came to change for combat training, so if you have a problem let's fix it on the field. Bakugo, well damn Deku, you'll see that you're just trash compared to me. Bakugo was sure that he would beat him since no one knew, but he obtained the power of One for All a week before, since All Might spoke to him and offered the power due to his quirk, since he was sure that with a powerful quirk he would be able to beat a foe forever, so without thinking about his attitude or anything else he offered One for All to Bakugo, making Bakugo's pride grow. He was late to class, he disrespected the teachers and so on, since according to him he could do whatever he wanted since he had the greatest power of all. Bakugo, you'll see, damn Deku, I'll make you beg me for mercy, he said in a whisper. Everyone was changing when a dwarf with purple balls on his head spoke. Mineta, look what I found. He said, pointing to a hole in the wall. Mineta, a gift from our senpais, imagine the whole buffet of girls on the other side. He said, drooling, earning a look of contempt from most of the men. Mineta, just picture Hagakure's invisible clothes, Melissa's curves, and Momo's figure. He was going to continue but someone grabbed him by the head. Mineta, what do you want, damn it, if you want to see, wait your turn. The person who was lifting Mineta was Izuku, who, upon hearing Mineta's words, spoke. Izuku, it makes me sick that there are people like you and I feel sorry for the girls in your class. Listen to me well, you fucking shorty, a woman must be respected. I know very well that all women are beautiful and gorgeous, but there is a limit that cannot be crossed. Mineta, and what will you do, damn it, women only serve to satisfy a man. Izuku, I'm going to do this. He said to slam Mineta face first into the ground. Izuku, learn to respect a fucking midget woman, Awase, seal that hole. Awase, hi. Most had respect for Izuku for his words and also thought it was best to avoid making him angry. While on the other side the women felt relieved that someone was defending them and blushed because of the beautiful thing. Momo, we thanked him later, by the way, who was he? Kendo, that was Izuku. Melissa, I met Izuku at the entrance exam. They continued talking like this until everyone came out changed. Those from 1B were surprised to find themselves with All Might. Take away Izuku. All Might, okay, young people, today we will have some tournament-type confrontations where we will see your control over your quirks. Actually, All Might just wanted Bakugo to stand out just because he was his successor. All Might, well, everyone is here now. At that, Kendo interrupts him. Kendo, excuse me, but Izuku is missing. Then some footsteps are heard approaching. Izuku, I'm here now. Everyone turned around and some women blushed because according to them Izuku looked good. Izuku, well, a little formal and it's perfect comfortable. All Might, well, with the young man here, let's start the battles. So they started fighting one by one, they were disqualifying fighters. Bakugo went too far, being scolded by Aizawa, but All Might always defended him with comments like they are young, they still don't control themselves, it's the youthful spirit. When Todoroki fought against Bakugo he lost because the OFA enhanced Bakugo's explosions in a certain way. In the end it was only Izuku against Bakugo. In which Bakugo was smiling psychotically at Izuku, screaming. Bakugo, Deku, today I will return the humiliation of yesterday, I will make you beg for mercy, ha ha ha. When they were ready, Aizawa gave the starting signal. Bakugo lunged at Izuku, trying to give him an explosion in the chest, which Izuku easily dodged by getting to his right and throwing a punch at his face. Bakugo immediately recovered and began to throw explosions like crazy at Izuku, causing the dust to rise. When he finished, you could see Bakugo tired but with a smile. "Bakugo, now you damn trash will be eliminated," he said to grab a lock from his arms. "Bakugo, if this suit is as I asked, it will store my sweat and I can give you a surprise, damn support." "All Might, young man, stop." All Might wasn't worried about Izuku, but if Bakugo killed him, not even he could fully defend him for murder. "All Might, young man can kill Midorilla." "Bakugo, nobody will care about a simple support," he said to remove the safety lock, releasing a huge explosion, raising more dust. "Bakugo, that's what happens to those losers who think they're better than me, lol. What happened, Deku? You're nothing anymore." Bakugo was laughing while everyone was in shock. "Momo, that guy is crazy." "Kendo, how can they accept someone like that?" "Melissa, that guy needs to go to a mental hospital." And more comments, which Bakugo heard and pointed at the girls with his other glove, scaring them. Aizawa and Blood King were on the other side of the field and could not see anything of what was happening because of the dust raised. "Bakugo, look, you fucking bitches, shut up if you don't want to end up like that useless Deku, you're just bitches that I'll fuck later." But suddenly someone grabs his glove and applying force destroys it. "Izuku, I thought Bakugo said that." Izuku is seen coming out with the top of his suit destroyed with wounds that were closing. Bakugo tried to give an explosion, but Izuku grabbed him by the wrist, breaking it, making Bakugo let out a scream. "Bakugo, ah! Damn Deku shiny." Bakugo tried to give him another explosion with his other arm, but Izuku dodged it, breaking his other wrist. Bakugo screamed again. The teachers, when they arrived, saw the scene. All Might was going to protest to defend his successor, but Aizawa spoke to him. "Aizawa, don't even think about intervening, because if not, you will take responsibility for the injuries that Bakugo caused to the other students. As you say, this battle demonstrates the youthful spirit." All Might gave Aizawa a dirty look, but he was right. If he intervened, everyone would see him as a hypocrite, and according to him, he has an image to maintain. With Midorilla and Bakugo. "Bakugo, damn Deku." I didn't finish speaking as Izuku punched him in the stomach and started using him as a punching bag, and then said, "Izuku, the Deku is you, damn it, I didn't even have to use the other grimoire on you, and I told you before, right?" Izuku increased his strength and endurance, preparing a strong blow. He said, "Izuku, I'm not a Deku anymore," throwing a punch that sent Bakugo crashing against the wall, making him faint. "Blood King, the winner is Izuku," he said, cheering up everyone in room 1B, well, those who were there, since some ended up in the infirmary because of Bakugo. Izuku was resting. Yesterday, after the tremendous beating he gave Bakugo, the classes went by normally. Of course, he thought that Bakugo had already calmed down, but at the exit he met him. When Bakugo saw Izuku, he began to insult him, saying that he should take care because he will return the humiliation and other threats. "Izuku, but what a day. Although I was finally able to return everything that Bakugo has done to me, I hope that on the way out to the USJ he doesn't do anything stupid." Professor Blood King gave them some sheets that the student representatives had to sign in order to go to the USJ. His mother signed them, but not before telling him to be careful and not take too many risks. "Izuku, we'll see what happens tomorrow, I hope it's interesting." The next day, Izuku was in the classroom talking to Kendo and Yui when Blood King walks in. "Blood King, good morning. Before leaving, we will have to do an activity." Another test," they thought reluctantly. "Blood King, they will choose the president or president of the classroom along with the vice president." A normal activity." Blood King, silence, well, you have 30 minutes to choose." So everyone stood up proposing ideas, but in the end everything was left in a vote, which ended with Midorilla, 11 votes. Kendo, 8 votes. Nato, 2 votes. Everyone was surprised by Nato's thing. Everyone knew that he had voted for the same person, but they were surprised by the other vote. Then Nato spoke. "Nato, it could be that she is a classmate who is interested in the great Nato Momona, ha ha ha." Nato stood up from his chair and started laughing. "Izuku, I actually voted for you." Making Nato fall on his back and approach Izuku, telling him, "Nato, you know, my friend, there are times when a man has to shut up and let another be happy." Blood King, well, Izuku was chosen as president and Kendo as vice president of classes, and with this resolved, everyone is ready to go out and wear their outfits. "Izuku, you are authorized to wear whatever clothes you are comfortable with." "Izuku, thank you, Blood Sensei." With that said, everyone grabbed their suitcases with their suits. Izuku grabbed a sports bag, leaving in a line of men led by Izuku and a line of women led by Kendo who followed their teacher. Once outside, everyone saw the bus that would take them and Izuku spoke. Izuku, all right, all the ladies will go in first and sit in the front, we'll take the seats in the back, understood. 1B, hi. Blood King, sometimes I'm unnecessary. He said with a drop of sweat. Already on the bus everyone was talking quietly, then a girl spoke. Kanoko, Midorilla. Izuku, yes, Komori-san. Kanoko, only Kanoko is fine. Izuku, okay Kanoko-san, what did you want? Kanoko, yesterday in the fight with the explosive madman you said that you didn't even have to take out your other grimoire. What did you mean? Everyone was silent and paid attention to what Izuku would say until the teacher, since he had also only seen one, to which Izuku replied. Izuku, well, I also have another book, but I don't use it much. Setsuna, we can see it. Izuku, okay. With that said, a black light came out of him, transforming into a book. Kendo, it is similar to the other. Izuku, well, the only thing that changes is the color. He said, taking out the other book. Togaru, and the black man who does. Izuku, well, you could say it's the opposite of the other, it basically casts curses that stun or immobilize the enemy. Yui, like that. He said with a neutral but curious face. Izuku, well, it could cause dizziness, blindness, among others. Everyone was surprised, why Izuku was already strong just by improving himself with his grimoire of improvements, but at the same time he would cast curses on his opponents which would definitely give him victory in a fight. At that moment everyone knew it. Izuku is someone to be afraid of. Before anyone could ask anything else, the bus stopped, showing everyone the dome-shaped installation, and Blood King spoke. Blood King, okay, everyone, before you enter the building, go to the outside locker room to change into your hero costumes. 1B, hi. After changing and the women blushing because of Izuku. Take away what he is carrying in his hands. Setsuna, Izuku in that suit. She said, totally red like her other companions. Izuku, well, it's a suit that I modified myself, putting in metal soles and other things. Blood King, okay, we're all going to meet a heroine in class 1A. Some boys felt uncomfortable with that class, mostly because of Lita and Bakugo, and on the part of the girls because of Mineta and Kaminari, who always stopped them staring shamelessly. Izuku, well, the faster we go the faster we'll leave, follow me, good guys. He said for everyone to follow him in line. Blood King, he really has them under control. He said with a drop of sweat. Already at the entrance they met Group 1A, the women greeted each other, while with the men some greeted each other manly like Kirishima and Tetsu among others, but nobody approached Lita, Bakugo and Todoroki, the latter more because they did not know him very well. Bakugo was quiet more because of the threat that Aizawa gave him. Normally he would not give it importance since All Might would stand up for him, but he was also under threat of being expelled by the director, and that All Might could not prevent that from happening, so irritated he just kept silent. In that a heroine arrives with a space suit. 13, good morning guys. He said, but before he continued a space-themed girl jumped up saying. Uraka, it's 13, I love 13. He said with great enthusiasm. Suyu, looks like someone is a fan. Said a girl with a frog quirk. Izuku already knows their names since in practice they all introduced themselves. After the talk about how dangerous quirks can be, they entered the building, surprising the students. Everyone was surprised, until a kind of purple mist appeared from which several intimidating-looking people came out, to which Kirishima comments. Kirishima, wow, they even have fake villains. When everyone paid attention, Aizawa spoke. Aizawa, those are real villains. With that said, everyone tensed up. Suddenly a guy with his hands around his body came out of the fog. At that the stranger speaks. Where is All Might? Aizawa jumped down, landing a few meters away from him. Aizawa, who are you? We are the League of Villains and we have come to kill the symbol of peace. After the stranger said those words, all the villains pounced on Aizawa, who with his bandages and his quirk immobilized the villains, knocking them out. With students and their teachers. Blood King, 13 contacts help. 13, I can't, not even the alarms were activated. It appears that someone is interfering with the signal of this place. In the middle of the discussion someone spoke. Izuku, teachers, we have to get out of here first, we also have to help Aizawa-sensei. Since he won't last long here. He said, pointing at Aizawa who was fighting the villains. Blood King, okay, 13 Escort the students to the exit and ask for support. I will help Aizawa in the fight. With that he launched himself into combat. 13 Okay, everyone follow me quickly. Izuku, 1 moment teacher. 13 What happened? Izuku just took out his improvement book and approached the railing. 13 What does it do? Kendo, we'll support our teachers. Before 13 could ask again, they saw the book open and some lights come out that were directed at Aizawa and Blood King who were fighting. When they felt a change in their bodies they turned around and saw Izuku on the railing, then they understood who had supported them so they just smiled at him and continued fighting, but with the improvements it was easier for them to fight. With Izuku he put away his book and returned to the group. Izuku, ready, we can go now. 13 didn't ask and began to escort the students quickly towards the exit, but a kind of fog appeared and began to speak. Kurogiri, good morning, I am Kurogiri from the League of Villains, can you tell me if the symbol of peace will come? 13, boys behind me. With that said, everyone stood behind the heroine who proceeded to activate her quirk and begin to absorb the mist. Kurogiri, I don't think so. He said to open 2 portals in front and behind the heroine causing her to absorb herself leaving her injured. Izuku, sensei. He said taking out his book improving his speed grabbing the heroine and bringing her to the others. Izuku, Todoroki creates a wall of ice quickly. He said with a demanding voice, Todoroki did not hesitate and raised a large wall of ice leaving Kurogiri on the other side. Izuku immediately began to heal the heroine. Izuku, shit the wound is deep I can only stop the bleeding and relieve the pain. 13 almost fainting spoke. 13, boy, you have to get your classmates out of here. He said and then fainted. Mineta, what kind of hero faints in this situation? But then Izuku gives him a look that everyone saw and felt a chill. Izuku, shut up shorty. At that everyone falls silent. Izuku, Lita runs to the academy to seek help. Lita, am I not a coward like you to leave? That's what he said but everyone saw him trembling as Izuku approached grabbing him by the suit looking at him seriously saying. Izuku, I'm not asking you, I'm ordering you. I'm going to repeat it to you again, go to the academy and ask for help. Lita ran towards the exit at Izuku's scream. Bakugo, damn nerd who put you in charge to give orders. For Bakugo it was impossible to follow orders from a deku who according to him was inferior, but he is silenced by a punch in the face surprising everyone. Bakugo was going to start a fight but he froze when he looked into Izuku's eyes. Izuku, Bakugo, this is not the time nor am I in the mood to put up with your nonsense, so shut up before I silence you with blows. Izuku, Bakugo, this is not the time nor am I in the mood to put up with your nonsense, so shut up before I silence you with blows. Bakugo in any other case would have pounced on Izuku but he saw in his eyes that he was not joking, but his pride was greater than his reasoning and he told him. Bakugo, who do you think you are, you fucking nerd, to threaten the great cat? He couldn't finish speaking as Izuku, increasing his strength, had hit him in the face, making him faint. Izuku, I don't tolerate nonsense right now. He said seriously. Everyone was surprised why they hadn't seen that side of Izuku, more than his classmates who would never think of seeing him like that, but his thoughts were interrupted by the appearance of Kurogiri. Kurogiri inspected the students, noticing that one was missing. Kurogiri, where is your partner? He said in a serious tone, but no one answered. Kurogiri turned to look in the direction of the exit seeing how a blue-haired man ran quickly to the exit. Kurogiri, curse. He said to try to go catch him. Izuku, pony. Pony, hey. Suddenly 2 horns went in Kurogiri's direction, more specifically towards where the eyes were seen, so Kurogiri, without paying much attention to the tension, opened a small portal in front of the horns, making them disappear. Kurogiri, I don't have time for you. He said but saw that Lita had already left. Kurogiri, damn, I have to tell Shigaraki, but first. He started looking at the students and making the mist start going towards them, to which Izuku shouted. Izuku, everyone avoid the fog. At that everyone started to back away. Izuku watched as the mist surrounded them all and seeing that it would be impossible to escape he said. Izuku, hold the person closest to you and don't let go. Everyone understood what was going to happen and grabbed the person closest to them. Izuku had Bakugo in his grasp and was carrying the heroine on his back. Kurogiri, goodbye. He said so that all the fog would fall on the students, sending them to different parts of the USJ except for Izuku, Tetsu, and Ibara. The fainted students were still with Izuku. Tetsu, damn, where are the boys? He demanded Kurogiri, getting into a combat stance. Kurogiri, I sent them to different places in this facility. He said as he began to disappear. Tetsu was about to attack him but was stopped by Izuku. Kurogiri was already gone. Tetsu, Izuku bro, why did you stop me? Izuku, he's a person with a quirk that allows him to open portals. You wouldn't have done much before he sent you somewhere else too, and we need you here. Pointing to some villains who were beginning to approach them. Izuku, Ibara takes care of them. He said, putting 13 and Bakugo next to Ibara. Ibara, don't worry, I will take care of protecting them and I will pray for their safety. She said to put her hands together and her hair began to grow, forming a sphere around them. Izuku stood next to Tetsu watching as the villains approached. Tetsu, will the boys be okay? Izuku, I managed to improve everyone's strength and speed before we separated, we just have to believe in them. Tetsu, Izuku bro, if these villains are here, do you think something happened to Aizawa and Blood Sensei? Izuku, most likely, we will have to defeat these villains and see what happened. Tetsu, understood. He said, turning his body into metal and bumping his fists. Izuku, don't be so confident, you don't know what his quirks are. He said as he began to approach the laughing villains. Villains 1, look at the little heroes trying to be brave. He said, taking out crystals from his body. Villains 2, it will be fun to cut them. He said to turn his arms into blades. Villains 3, we'll go get that girl later. He spoke while licking his lips and taking out a small amount of fire from his arm, and so did the other villains who were showing their peculiarities. Tetsu, Izuku bro, some villain we have to be careful of. He said, preparing to attack. Izuku, no, but we better make sure. He said to take out his book of curses. Blinding the villains, and before the villains could complain they heard. Izuku, now Tetsu. The two young men set out to fight against the villains who, being blind, were easily defeated. When they defeated the last one, Izuku said. Izuku, they were just talkers, they didn't last long. Tetsu, Izuku bro, we have to see the senseis. He said to start leaving, but Izuku stopped him. Izuku, I'll go see them, you get Ibara, 13 and Bakugo out of the building, it's very dangerous for them to stay here, I'll go support the teachers. Fortunately for them, Todoroki's wall was still covering them, which would help them go unnoticed. Tetsu, it's okay. Tetsu did not complain and went to Ibara. He knew that Izuku was right, and also in the short time that they knew each other Izuku gained his trust, also demonstrating wise decision making in dangerous cases. Izuku, good. Izuku started running in the direction of the stairs and Tetsu headed with Ibara to the exit. When they were about to retreat, something or someone crashed into the ice wall. Izuku quickly approached and saw Blood King fainted and injured. Quickly Izuku began to heal him. Izuku, shit. What happened? When he finished healing his teacher, he quickly went to the place of the fight, seeing Aizawa being beaten mercilessly by some kind of bird on steroids. Moments ago. Erased, Head, Aizawa, and Blood King were fighting against the villains. Thanks to Izuku's improvements, it was easier for them. Aizawa, your student Blood's gift is very useful. He said as he wrapped a villain with his ribbons. Blood King, he also knows how to fight hand to hand and has great control of his gift. He said, hitting a villain, leaving him unconscious. Aizawa, you don't want me to change it, I can give you Bakugo. Blood King, no thanks, enough I have with Momona. They continued to fight against the villains, being watched by Shigaraki. Then a fog appears from which Kurogiri came out. Shigaraki, what happened to the heroine? Kurogiri, I left her seriously injured, but it seems that a student stabilized her. At the moment she is unconscious. Shigaraki, and the brats. At that Kurogiri lets out a sigh to answer. Kurogiri, one escaped and I scattered most of them throughout the facilities. Shigaraki, what the hell, one of us got away? He shouted irritatedly while scratching his neck hard. Shigaraki, if you weren't our only way out I would kill you right here, we can't waste time. He said, watching the heroes fight. Shigaraki, bring it here. Kurogiri, but All Might hasn't come yet. Shigaraki, thanks to your incompetence more heroes will come. At least we will leave a wound to the heroes by killing 2 pro heroes and some students, so bring the Nomu. Kurogiri, without saying anything, opened a portal from which a kind of mutant chicken emerged. Shigaraki, perfect, now Nomu, finish those heroes. With that said, the Nomu quickly ran towards the 2 heroes who were distracted. When Aizawa realized, he tried to warn Blood King, but the Nomu at an astonishing speed had already hit Blood's head, sending him flying, crashing into Todoroki's ice wall. Aizawa, damn! He said, wrapping him with his ribbons, but the Nomu in a struggle broke them, taking Aizawa by the leg and throwing him against the floor, starting to hit him mercilessly. Aizawa was thankful for the improvements Izuku had made, otherwise at this moment he would have all his bones broken, but if he continued like this he was going to faint from the pain. He saw how the Nomu was preparing to give him a big blow by putting his two hands together. Aizawa, damn! He said, putting his arms in an X trying to cover himself, but the blow fell on the side of his head. When he saw the Nomu he was staggering, then Izuku appeared, lifting him and taking him away from the Nomu, who was still trying to keep his balance. Present. Izuku, sensei. Aizawa, Midoriya, what are you doing here? Where are your classmates? He said seriously. Izuku explained what happened, worrying Aizawa, knowing that everyone must be fighting villains at the moment, something that Izuku noticed. Izuku, don't worry too much, I managed to give everyone some upgrades before we parted ways. That calmed Aizawa a little, since he saw for himself how useful Izuku's improvements were. But then the Nomu appeared behind Izuku. Izuku, but how? When the Nomu was about to hit Izuku, but Aizawa got in front of him, receiving the strong blow and flying away, falling near where Izuku left Blood King lying. Izuku was surprised, since he had cursed him with dizziness and blindness, but the Nomu was a creation to kill All Might, so his senses were superior, and guided by the sound he managed to locate Izuku. Izuku, shit! He exclaimed, dodging the blows that the Nomu began to give him. Izuku with difficulty found himself dodging the blows, improving himself while cursing the Nomu with muscle weakness and weakened quirk, which tired him, but the Nomu moved slower. But in a moment of carelessness the Nomu was going to hit him in the head, but Tetsu appeared, receiving the impact. Izuku, Tetsu, what are you doing here? Tetsu, I took Ibara out with 13 and the explosive madman. I came to check how things were and I found the teachers passed out, and you fighting against this thing. Tetsu spoke while dodging some blows and receiving others thanks to his hardening and Izuku's improvements, also, thanks to the fact that the Nomu had the curses, he could withstand the blows. Tetsu, Izuku, what's the plan? Izuku, he'll hold on until the heroes come, what else do we have left? Tetsu, then let's go. The two young men began to hit the Nomu, while at the entrance the two classes began to arrive. 1A/1B, Sensei. They screamed when they saw their teachers fainted on the ground. Then Kendo looks at everyone and sees that someone is missing and asks, Kendo, where is Izuku, Tetsu, and Ibara? Everyone looked at each other looking for those mentioned, but they couldn't find them. Then a person with many arms spoke. Shoji, I could hear that they stayed at the entrance. Before anyone could say anything, a dwarf shouted, Mineta, they surely took the opportunity to escape. That bothered Class 1B because they knew well that Izuku would not abandon them. Nato, shut up shorty, Izuku is not a coward like you. Mineta altered the context. Mineta, as you surely know, he acted like that to impress the girls, and in reality he was a coward. Before Nato could answer, something fell in front of everyone, causing a small crater, and when everyone got closer they saw an injured Tetsu on top of Izuku. What happened is that Izuku gave the Nomu a hacksaw, but when he hurried he gave him a short-lived one. When the Nomu regained his vision he grabbed Tetsu by the leg, throwing him against Izuku, sending them flying. Kendo, guys! He said, moving towards them to help them, but Izuku screamed. Izuku, don't come closer. When they heard the scream something landed in front of the boys, then everyone got scared seeing a mutant chicken. Mineta, what is that thing? I scream in terror when I see the Nomu who peed. Izuku, I don't know what it is, but it's very strong, don't get too close. Melissa, but Izuku, you are hurt. Scream, everyone saw Izuku and Tetsu who were full of wounds, but Izuku opens his book starting to heal himself and heal Tetsu, in that the Nomu launches to attack Izuku and Tetsu. Tetsu, Izuku bro, I don't think I can resist much longer. He said, tired. Izuku was very tired, so the healing only scarred the wounds and did not remove the fatigue. Izuku, me neither, I just have to try something else. Tetsu, what a thing. Izuku, let's go back first. They both stepped back. Izuku turned to see Todoroki, who understood what he had to do. Izuku, now. I screamed for Tetsu and Izuku to jump back. When the Nomu was about to pounce on them, a large and thick wall of ice rose between the Nomu and the students. Without wasting time, the Nomu began to hit the ice, beginning to break it, while on the other side were Izuku and Tetsu kneeling, breathing heavily while everyone rushed to help them. Kendo, Momo creates bandages. Momo, I'm already on it. Taking out several bandages from his arm, but before they started selling them, Izuku said. Izuku, that thing won't give us time for that. Watching the ice begin to tremble and crack. Izuku, I need everyone to run to the exit. Tetsu and I will make time. Kyoka, we can't leave them here. Everyone nodded and were ready to fight except for Mineta and Kaminari, who were shaking in fear. Izuku, thanks guys, but that thing is very strong. Tetsu barely holds his own, and that's even though he's using his quirk and my enhancements, and the Nomu was affected by my curses. Everyone at that moment was scared, not because they were cowards, but because they all saw Izuku's improvements and knew how strong he made him. And if they were told that with everything and Tetsu's quirk they could barely hold on, they imagined that they would end up with their bones shattered. Izuku, you guys have to go. Kendo, but you are also in bad shape. He said this while looking at Tetsu, who was breathing heavily. Izuku, don't worry, I have a skill that will help us buy time. Then they hear the ice start to fall. Izuku, there's no time left, run. Everyone knew that they would only be a hindrance, so they started running towards the exit. If you are wondering why Kurogiri let them escape, it is because in the fight they raised a lot of dust, and with the ice pillars that remained they made it difficult to see. Izuku, Tetsu, you can still go if you want. Tetsu, even if I wanted to run, it would not be manly to abandon a friend. Tetsu said with a defiant smile. Tetsu, what's the plan now? Izuku, I will activate an ability that will explosively improve us in every way, but in my current condition it will be short-lived. In that short time we will have to attack with everything we have. Tetsu, understood. With that the ice broke, revealing the Nomu, who started running to attack the boys. Izuku quickly put away the Book of Curses and his other book began to move, leaving a sheet with the ability. Izuku, Berserker.